What's up, party people? It's your boy Optimus Code. Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to discuss some terminology in the video game industry. We're going to discuss the way that people who work in the industry use these terms versus the way that some in the community use these same terms. And so we're going to start a glossary to help the gamers understand the way these terms should actually be used so that gamers can speak accurately when they're discussing video game topics. If you stick around to the end of the video, you will have a very clear understanding of what the word port means when it comes to video games. So I've been invited to appear on several gaming podcasts, and I always have a lot of fun when I'm asked to make an appearance on a podcast. One of the things that I personally really enjoy is speculating about what's happening in the video game industry, what's going on now, what's going to happen next, how to interpret like certain things that we see going on. Like I really enjoy all of that stuff. I really enjoy listening to the other people on the podcast give their ideas about what this thing means, how excited they are for a thing, or how upset they are at a particular thing. It doesn't matter. The specifics is just the notion that people are sharing their feelings and their passion about what's going on in gaming. If those passions and feelings are positive or negative, it doesn't matter. Just people are sharing what they feel, what they think about video games. And I really enjoy that. However, there's this thing that I've noticed, and it happens, I don't know, like 100% of the time. I've never been on a podcast. I've never watched a podcast from the gaming community where this didn't happen. And so here's the thing that I've noticed. Everyone will take a turn giving their take on a particular subject or a particular topic. And even though these are all, for the most part, subjective things, so the word subjective basically means like your own personal take on something. And a subjective opinion on stuff can't be right or wrong. Because it is subjective, it is going to be based on each person's feelings or thoughts about a particular topic, whatever that topic may be. So for example, Porsche is the best sports car. That is a subjective opinion. It means it can't be proven right or wrong. It is just each individual person's opinion on whatever that topic may be, which is the exact opposite of objective. An objective statement can be proven, and it doesn't matter about the individual's feelings in the matter. So for example, the sun rises in the east. That is an objective statement, and a person who disagrees with that can be proven wrong. A person that agrees with it can be proven right. 2 + 2 = 4. That is an objective statement. This is not a matter of opinion or personal preference. It is merely a fact. 2 + 2 does indeed equal 4. So a person can be proven right or wrong when it comes to objective statements. When it comes to subjective statements, no one can be proven right and no one can be proven wrong. It is personal preference. So the statement RPGs are better than first-person shooters. To some people, sure, okay. To other people, not, right? So these are all just subjective opinions that are floating around, and it's just exciting to me anyway to hear people's opinions, which are subjective, on things that's going on in gaming. But here's this thing that I noticed. Every single time, even though we are discussing subjective topics, someone on the panel always wants it to be where their opinion is right and their opinion is the correct one. And whoever disagrees with their own personal viewpoint, that person is in the wrong. And so this person usually tries to take a position where the reason my subjective viewpoint is superior and the one to be hailed as the great one over your subjective opinions is because my subjective opinion is based on objective facts. And this is where having people like me on the podcast tends to get them into trouble and makes it where people don't want me to show up on a podcast. Because almost every time these people start talking about video game technology in a way that is absolutely wrong, and they are using their misuse of technological terms and ideas to prove their subjective opinion, which was wrong from the beginning. And so I'm just sitting there looking at them like, what? Wait, what? And I am forced, being the Being the born educator that I am forced to then try to help and correct a wrong statement, because one thing that I don't want to do is mislead the community, right? And so I feel that it is a disservice to the community for me to sit on a panel, hear people say a bunch of wrong things when I have the knowledge to inform them and to make sure the correct information is getting out to the people. But then I sit there and do nothing. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I often end up in these little mini debates with people back and forth because they want to insist that their interpretation of technology and the way things happen in technology is accurate, when in reality it is like 100% backwards. And the reason that it is annoying to them that I am there is because for a lot of years they have gotten away with using this technobabble to mislead people. And so this person just rambles on and on, completely oversimplifying and get things wrong with frame rates and resolution and 1440p and just like getting it all wrong and backwards, but then using that as a weapon on the other people, so that those people now feel like, okay, well, their subjective opinions don't even matter because this guy over here said that and what I thought was wrong. And so, well, we'll just leave it up to him to decide what's what. No good. So that's one of the reasons for this channel, right? One of the reasons for this channel is to help everybody level up and understand so that you can speak confidently for yourself. And when you are giving your opinions and your personal preferences on the take, and then someone tries to come in and nerd bully you about objective matters in technology and why the way they see it is the correct way, blah, 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 you will be equipped all on your own. Like, hey, hold on. No, that's not what this is. That's not what this is. And so you will stop being bullied by these people. I'll call it nerd bullying, which is this thing where people try to bully you with knowledge and with like especially highly skilled, highly specialized knowledge that the average person won't have. That's typically reserved for nerds and people that spend hours and hours in like specialized fields and technology. I call that nerd bullying. And so I don't like it when I see people try to nerd bully other people because they have an opinion that's different from theirs. All of this stuff on these podcasts, for the most part, I mean, they do discuss, some objective things, but for the most part, all of this stuff is subjective and it's just for fun. That's it. So the goal of this new series that I'm creating is a glossary, and I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. I don't know. But we're going to start defining actual terms in the industry, and we're going to say what the industry means by a term versus however the community may have adopted a term and started to misuse it. So that way you will be able to clarify what the actual industry meaning of a particular term so that everyone can speak about things in the same way. If you watch my video on the basics of computer programming and what a programmer does, hopefully you'll remember in the beginning of that, I was talking about how important it is to use terms accurately, especially on a technical team or development team, because one of the worst things that can happen is you have confusion on the team where you have highly skilled, highly specialized people thinking that they're supposed to do this when you really wanted them to do that. Technical teams live and die by clarity. So the first term that we're going to tackle in this new gaming definition glossary is the notion of the word port. I have seen so many people use this term wrong. They hear it in conversation and they hear it in a sentence. Like most of us, you hear a word in a sentence, and so you think you understand what that word means because you can piece together its meaning based on how it was used in the sentence. Unfortunately for me, what I have noticed is almost every time somebody uses this word, they use it wrong. A port is a very, very specific thing in video games. A port is not just compiling your code. Also, we discussed the notion of compilers in that programmer video. I'll add a link to the description in case you missed it. In that video, we discussed the very basics of compilers, and merely recompiling something for a different system or a different chip with a different set of opcodes is not a port. In the video game sense, a port is when a game was built for one platform with no intentions, no thought at all of running on a separate platform. And later, after the game has been released, someone decides that they want that game to run on a different platform. When that happens, that is called a port. When a game is designed and built for one system, it's not a port. If a game is designed and built for two systems, that's still not a port. So for example, if the game was designed and built to run on PC and PlayStation, that is not a port. That game was originally built for both of those platforms. If a game was designed and built to run on Xbox and PC, that is also not a port. Those games were both designed and built to run on those two systems at the same time. A port is when a game that was originally designed for one platform is being ported or having changes made to it so that it can then run on a separate platform that it was never originally designed and built for. So if you look at Ubisoft games, for example, Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was originally intended to run on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation all at the same time. So even though that one game is running on 3 platforms, neither one of those is a port. All of those games were built, designed at the same time to run on all 3 systems. So it's not a port. However, if it ends up coming to the Switch, then it will be a port. That will be called a Switch port. Often when a game is ported from one platform to another, the original dev team doesn't do the port. More often than not, you hire another team that specializes in the system where you want to port the game to. So for example, if you guys remember, The Witcher 3 was made by CD Projekt Red, and it was made for multiple platforms. However, they decided to bring the game to the Switch. And at that time, they hired a different company, one that specifically specializes in Switch games and the Switch system. And then it would be the job of this company to take that game and port it over to the Switch. But it's only a port on the version where it was not originally released. Now later on, I'm going to do a series on like development and optimization. Y'all, there's so much good stuff coming. But I'm going to say something now a little bit ahead of myself, and hopefully it's not confusing. But there's this thing called a development kit, which is used during the dev process. And again, we'll go over dev kits and all that stuff in depth in a future video. But there's this notion going around that during the development process, that games are built on PC and then ported to a dev kit. That is 100% false. And if you hear someone saying that, and if you see anyone that is preaching this rhetoric, you can instantly disregard those comments because that is false. And so you don't have to spend any of your valuable time addressing stuff like this, because you now, after having watched this video, you are aware it's definitely not a port. You wouldn't port it to the dev kit of the system that it's being built for. That sentence makes absolutely no sense when you're in the know. So protect yourself, protect your knowledge at all times. Time for the quiz. Okay, that's it. Time's up. Quiz over, pencils down. How did y'all do? So hopefully this quiz wasn't too difficult. If you paid attention during the video, you should have seen everything you needed to know to pass the quiz successfully. And now you will be better armed to protect yourself against misinformation. When you hear someone misuse the term port, you'll be able to jump in and say, hey, that's not what we're talking about. And by the end of the series on gaming vocabulary and glossary, you will be in a better position to protect and defend yourself against nerd bullies that come in and try to just take over the conversation and preach their viewpoint as the correct one because they just know so much. All right, we hope you leveled up. We hope you're feeling better about your ability to participate without being attacked. If you enjoyed the video, you know the deal. Leave a like. If you want to learn to protect yourself against more forms of nerd bullying, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have that for you. We're going to keep these definitions coming so that you can speak confidently and accurately about things that's going on in gaming. If you know someone that will benefit from this knowledge, or if you know a nerd bully that has been routinely nerd bullying you using wrong technology and using the word port incorrectly, send them this video. Let them see for themselves like why they're exactly wrong. All right, that's it for this one. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.